Shalom, shalom to all the Akim. Yes, we are back at you with another lesson, giving our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Harakak double honors to all the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. And yes, the house of David is rising. So we've got a strange surgical strike here. One dead, 4 injured after rogue waves strikes Antarctic cruise ship. And this is a new ship, so I believe. So yeah, man, we're gonna take a look at 1 and 2 videos, because there's a lot going on. There's a whole heap of judgments taking place and conundrums taking place. The Most High, the chariots, the eyes of the Lord are above the sinful kingdom. Yeah, and the angels are doing what they do. So without further ado, let's check out this video, man. You got the volcanoes erupting over there in Indonesia and Hawaii. Yeah, so just what Yahushua said, you will know when I am here, when you start to see these things taking place in the Gospels, and we're seeing them now. So let's get into this one.
This morning, passengers describing a terrifying experience after a rogue wave slammed into this cruise ship, killing an American woman and injuring 4 others, according to the Associated Press. Alexandra Pearson and her father, both from Florida, were on board the Antarctic cruise.
It felt like a rocket hit the ship. The entire ship kind of reverberated for a couple of minutes, just kind of shaking. And then after that, it went completely still, like dead silence.
At first, some passengers thought the worst.
It's like, did we hit an iceberg? You know, it just was so sudden like that. We heard it smash against our window, and a lot of water came shooting in. I thought our window had failed, but as it turned out, the pressure of the water had just pushed around the seams.
The ship was making its way through Drake Passage, one of the world's roughest waterways. The wave damaging the ship, the cruise line is now investigating.
The room that we're currently in, the window got dislodged, the window frame, and you can feel and hear the outside.
For Pearson and her father, Mother Nature's beauty and fury have collided in a once-in-a-lifetime vacation turned tragic trip. Antarctic cruise.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to title this video. Strange surgical strikes or judgment from on high, man. So let's check out this other video from someone who has somewhat inside information on this subject on the cruise ships. I was watching this, I found this interesting, and he makes it a bit more plain to understand.
A tragic story today. It happened about 3,200 miles off the coast of Buenos Aires, where we had the Viking Polaris. That is a Norwegian-owned cruise ship. It's an expedition cruise ship, and it was just launched in 2022. It's the newest ship. It's a beautiful, beautiful ship. Expedition cruise that's used to doing things like the Antarctica and places like that. And it was sailing in a little bit of rough weather, a little bit of a storm, but nothing those cruise ships cannot handle, when it was struck by a rogue wave, which shattered glass along the side, the port side of the ship.
Yeah, and those couples on the cruise ship, sounds like the Most High saying these holidays are coming to an end. Your holidays are coming to an end. Lamentations 4, man, or Lamentations 5, man. You know, rejoice and be glad, O you daughters of Edom. Your holidays are coming to an end. The woman said, it felt like a rocket hit the ship. Yeah, and that's an omen for them. That's an omen. Most High bringing judgments, man, and yeah, that's the curse is coming upon them, because these people love to go all around the world cruising and causing distress and destruction, thieving lands that don't belong to them, rape, rob, and murder. But your holidays, your cruise ships, because they love cruise ships, man. You know anything about the E's? They love cruising around the world in luxury with their ill-gotten gains, spending it and drinking it off, getting drunk and acting the fool with their ill-gotten gains. But your holidays are coming to an end. Your cruise ships are coming to an end.
Cannot handle, when it was struck by a rogue wave, which shattered glass along the side, the port side of the ship, causing injuries to 4 passengers, and unfortunately, 1 passenger, a 5th passenger, was killed. They haven't released the name or even the gender of the passenger who was killed. They are in contact with the families with this tragic event. Now, it was apparently struck on the side from a rogue wave, and people are going, well, why wouldn't you head your ship into waves like that? Rogue waves are completely different. Rogue waves don't necessarily come from the direction of the regular waves coming in. As you can see here, this oil tanker picked.
Or was it Leviathan? That had me thinking when I heard about this. Leviathan. Oh, you're hearing about the Loch Ness Monster. That's an old classic classic mystery story. The Loch Ness Monster. Was it the Loch Ness Monster? Otherwise known as Leviathan in the Bible? Maybe. It could have been.
Picture from one of their cameras where it looks like pretty calm when, a bit of a storm out there, but nothing these kind of ships can't handle, when all of a sudden a rogue wave from the right came across and hit the ship sideways. Well, the same thing happened with the Viking Polaris. There is an investigation being launched in Argentina, as well as the cruise company itself, Viking, and they have pulled the ship into dock for repairs and are basically sending all the passengers home, arranging flights and canceling things. No word on refunds or anything like that right now. I think right now that's the least of everyone's worries. It was the 4 passengers who were injured. The good news for the 4 passengers, it appears that they did not receive any life-threatening injuries at all, and their injuries are being treated on board the ship, which means they're not catastrophic. They don't need medical attention from a hospital, so there's no big, huge, gaping open wounds or anything like that. That's the good news. Unfortunately, the bad news is 1 passenger did meet their demise on this cruise ship, and it's tragic. You think I booked myself this luxury cruise, and these cruises are expensive. You're in a wonderful place. You're off the coast, and you're heading to Antarctica. It's beautiful out there, and what an adventure. And then you're hit by tragedy. Now, a rogue wave is one of those things that they cannot predict. It's where 2 waves kind of crest together and join to form, and when they join, they kind of double in size. And they can come from any direction. That's the problem with a rogue wave. They don't necessarily come head on like you would expect, with the way the tide's going and the way the current's going and being pulled by the moon's gravity, etc. And they've been studying rogue waves for years and years and years, and they just they can't predict them yet. It's a very big tragedy. You can see the damage along the side. You can see the broken in glass, and these windows are very, very thick. They're not just tin glass or car glass sitting there, right? They are made to withstand.
Yeah, but you can't. Who can resist the power of the Most High, man? He controls all the weathers. But I would say it could well have been Leviathan. Was it a road wave, or was it a surgical strike from Leviathan? It's a mystery. But we know it definitely was a surgical strike from the Most High.
Waves and bumping and anything that might happen, it just goes to show you the force that nature can come across when hitting this. It can just, bam. Nature is the most powerful force in the world. We have all of our technology, but when nature decides to do something, there's not a lot we can do about it. And my condolences go out to the family.
That's why I let him talk, because I think he said it best from what looks like an Edomite. Let the Edomites tell it, yeah? Because there's a lot of the time you won't hear it from the so-called black people. Let him tell it. He said, what did he say? He's calling it nature. We know who it really was, but let him say that again.
But when nature decides to do something, there's not a lot nature is the most powerful force.
Take out the word nature and put Yahweh Shai, and let him say that again. because then you realize what you're really messing with, man. Yeah, you got the technology, you got the military, you got everything powerful, but when
nature can come across,
Yahushua
hitting this, it can just bam. Nature is the most powerful force in the world. We have all of our technology, but when nature decides to do something, there's not a lot we can do about it. And my condolences go out to the family of the passenger who was fatally injured on the Polaris. I imagine the crew is going through, like, they're in shock as well, right? This is not a normal occurrence. This is not something that anybody can prepare for. And it's not easy sometimes to see or witness. And I know a lot of passengers are probably really shooken up on this cruise and just thankful that they weren't in that cabin when this happened. So again, rogue waves can happen anywhere. No one's to blame. The cruise line's not to blame. The crew is not to blame, and the passengers aren't to blame. It's just one of those things that happen. Well, I hope you do appreciate the new...
Right. I think he said it best. When Yahushua decides to do something, you got the technology, but you got everything. But when Yahushua decides to do something, there's nothing you can do. Which we know he's calling it nature. But let's bring out some precepts. The point is already made, man. Yeah, so was it a road wave? Or was it a surgical strike from on high? But we know for sure it was a surgical strike from on high. Was it a road wave? Was it Leviathan? Let's read some precepts. Psalms 38 and Psalms 78 and 48 says, He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble by sending evil angels. That much we do know. We do know it was the Most High. And how did he do it? He brought evil angels upon them. And in this case, it was a spirit created for vengeance. It could have been Leviathan, the so-called dragon, the sea creature, or as they call it over there in Scotland. Scotland. They call it the Loch Ness monster, but it's described in the Bible as Leviathan, or the dragon, the fierce dragon, which is controlled by the Most High. He's in control, total control. So that was an evil angel, man. You know, a strange surgical strike. And I like to cover them surgical strikes. They're very intriguing, those surgical strikes that the Most High can do, that he can set up. You cannot understand the Most High. Who can understand the mind of the Most High? Isaiah, man. Isaiah 55 talks about you cannot understand the mind of the Most High. Proverbs 30 and 4 says, He hath ascended up unto heaven, and ascended and descended. He hath gathered the wind in his fist. Well, that's what it was. He just manipulated the wind in his fist, man. Like the Sandman. If you saw the movie, one of those Spider-Man movies where the Sandman, he has the ability to manipulate sand. He can hide in sand. He can change into sand. You know, that's one of his powers. His superpowers or spiritual powers. He controls sand, and he can take that bit of sand, a big lump of sand, and just manipulate it and turn it into a fist, and just boom, one big gigantic fist punches through a wall. That's what happened there with the Most High. If it wasn't Leviathan, it was the Most High turning that piece of water, manipulate it into one big fist, and smack through the window of that cruise ship. The wind in his fist, I'll read that again. And who have ascended up unto heaven and descended, who have gathered the wind in his fist. Yeah, manipulating the sea water into a fist. Who have bound the waters in a garment, who have established all the ends of the earth. What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? Right, I think that precept was spot on. That was spot on, that precept. We could actually leave it there, but let's bring out a couple more. Let's go to Isaiah 28. and 2 says, Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which is as a tempest of the hail, and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters, overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. That's very similar to the precept we just looked at. Behold, the Lord have a mighty and strong one, which is as a tempest of hail, and a destroying storm, and as a flood of mighty waters, overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. Right, again, he manipulated the water. Leviathan did that with a strike of his tail. I'm just visualizing a bit here with Leviathan with a striking of his tail, or with a breath from his lungs, Leviathan, or just smack the sea with his tail and make the wave just come up and lick that cruise ship. Just different scenarios that could have took place, but we know ultimately it was the Most High, man, sending those evil angels. Isaiah 29:6 says, Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder, and with earthquakes, and great knives, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. In this case, water. So, yeah, man, enough said, man. Point made. That was the Most High's judgments. So, was it a so-called road wave, or was it a surgical strike from on high? We know the answer. We know the answer for sure. So let's just hear that again. I think this person here said it best when he was breaking down the power of the Most High, man. He breaks it down. He calls it nature, but we know through the Spirit it's the Most High.
Is one of those things that they cannot predict. It's where two waves kind of crest together and join to form, and when they join, they kind of double in size. And they can come from any direction. That's the problem with a rogue wave. They don't necessarily come head on like you would expect, with the way the tide's going and the way the current's going and being pulled by the moon's gravity, etc. And they've been studying rogue waves for years and years and years, and they just can't predict them yet. It's a very big tragedy. You can see the damage along the side. You can see the broken in glass, and these windows are very, very thick. They're not just tin glass or car glass sitting there, right? They are made to withstand waves and bumping and anything that might happen. It just goes to show you the force that nature can come across when hitting this. It can just bam. Nature is the most powerful force in the world. We have all of our technology, but when nature decides to do something, there's not a lot we can do about it. And
when Yahushua decides to do something, there's nothing you can do about it. He said it best. Let's end off the video. Psalms 78:49 says, He casts upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. Surgical strike from on high. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai. The water to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai for giving me the spirit to do this video. Judgments are really moving in the earth, man. Yeah, we're coming to the end of the year of turn up. So if this was the year of turn up, man, boy, what is it next year going to be like? And I've had visions and I've had dreams. In due time, if the Spirit's on me to bring them out, he's going to turn up even more next year through the power and spirit of Yahweh Shemashai. Shalom to all the sincere Akim. And yes, the house of David is rising, and everything the wicked have done to us, past, present, and future, is falling upon their own head. Surgical strikes are going full force ahead in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai. Shalom.